so they can make a decision what's important enough for them to come. We have 3 mediums that we could use: transcript, patch, and NORCAM. It's all available to the Board of Selectmen to put the agenda out. There are many people who read the transcript, many people read patch, and there are different people who watch NORCAM. If there could be, if the Board of Selectmen can take advantage of these forms of media, I think that at least the information is out there. And hopefully, I mean, tonight we happen to have pretty good attendance. It was rewarding to see that. But also, the meetings need to be regular, consistent. The last meeting that you had here that I came to, I wanted to make a statement, pretty much this statement, during public comment, one of which was to welcome you and say good luck, and may you guys have a very successful year. But when I came, the meeting was already in progress, and I found out that the public comment had already been passed. And so I left. Then I found out that public comment was taken later on. So from a citizen's perspective, that could be confusing. You know, when do I come? You know, are the meetings really going to be at 7, or are they going to start at 6 now? Are they going to start at 6:30? We don't know now. Okay, so the meetings need to be consistent in that regard. Candidly, I'm about fixing things that are broke. I do that as many times as I need to do that. And I think, unfortunately, special town meeting kind of reflected that our system is broke. For whatever reason, it's broke. And I believe that the Board of Selectmen can play a part in making sure, or refixing or repairing what is broken. We need to give the people to come to the meetings to be involved. And just like each of you, Joe, you decided to run, you saw something that was very important. Mike, all of you, okay, and I did it at one point myself. We saw a need to get involved. That's because information did come to us as we became more involved in the community. So think about what inspired you to get involved, and pass that passion on as a board out to the public by getting information out to them. Now, I was reviewing the agenda tonight, and I looked at some of this. Now, as an ex-Board of Selectman, I know what some of this is. But as a citizen, some of it would not make too much sense to me. And the information, the agenda, could be supported on the town website with pretty much the same information, or at least some notes describing really what the meeting is about. Just like we do at town meeting when you have the pamphlet that describes why the issue or the warrant is there. That would be very helpful. What I did was, I just wrote down some of my thoughts. I'm going to pass them to you, just for you to read later on, just an idea of how to get your agenda, its content, out to the public on a continued basis, so that at least the ball of information is being pushed, and hopefully somewhere down the line, that, like a snowball, would get bigger and bigger and bigger, and more people would become involved. And even if it's only 5 more, 10 more, whatever, we need as many people involved in our community, because there are decisions that are made here that are very important to the community, and many people in the community don't realize that. So we just, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Yule. I think if you stick around, some of the issues you raised will be addressed under the town administrator's report. We'll recap the events of town meeting.
I have to stay that late?
Go watch at home if you like.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
comment, if it's okay?
Sure.
Or you're not done?
Yeah, so, thank you, please, look at this, and I'm hoping that, if you're already addressing some of these issues, I kind of thought that that's what the annual town meeting, number 13, is all about, or is that something else?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, underneath that item, you're right, correct.
Okay, so, but thank you very much for your time, have a great year. I know you will, do well for our community, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your input. Mr. Prisco?
Yeah, I'd like to take the opportunity to do a public comment on behalf of somebody who's sitting in the room this evening, just because they're uncomfortable about being up in front of the board and the people at home at the podium. I was actually reading an article on June 15th. I'm not sure if anybody read it. It was actually in Patch, and the article was called North Reading Neighbor Brigade, and it kind of caught my interest. And I read the article, and I was just so impressed about what this was. And so I had reached out to this individual that's mentioned in the article and asked her if she'd be willing to come to the board meeting to give her a little more exposure and to let the town know what this is. But the Neighbor Brigade, actually, let me make sure I get this right, is a group of residents that come together to help residents that are actually coping with either an illness or a death in their family. And it's actually a larger organization that I think actually founded out of Wayland, and it's grown into a much bigger organization. They have a chapter leader, which is Mia DeFranco, who's sitting over here. But we're not going to make her stand up or anything, but we're going to just let her sit right there. But on your behalf, thank you for allowing me to do this, because when I read the article, I was so impressed with this organization and what you do. And I don't think the community really realizes this resource is out there. So for those folks that are dealing with an illness or hardship in their family, they could go online. They can get this information at, first of all, they can reach out to Mia at northreadingma@neighborbrigade.org. Or they actually, if you want to volunteer and be part of this group, you can go to www.lotsahelpinghands.com. And you can get some information there as well. But I wanted to thank you and thank Patch for actually making me aware of this. And I think it's a wonderful thing that you're doing and a nice resource for the community, so thank you.
Likewise, I wish to thank you. To give a little more detail, I had the opportunity to read the same article as well. And what Mia does and her volunteers, if you or a family member suffering some sort of serious illness, major surgery, a sudden accident or some family tragedy, they come and help with non-medical needs that you may need some help with, whether it's mowing your lawn, errands, grocery shopping. That's what these folks are there for. So I thank you as well. It's nice to have you in the community, nice to have other people know that you are here to help. Thank you. You don't have to be shy. We don't bite too often. Thank you for coming. Anyone else public comment? Please, ma'am, just come up and just state your name and your address.
Jane Krieger, 22 Cherry Street.
How are you?
Good, thank you. And I'd like to request that there be a meeting, a public meeting for the process for open meeting. And relative to that, the annual report 2011, October, Article 27 conflicts. So I think it would be helpful, I know for me and our neighbors, but also probably for the public. I think Mr. Yell was speaking about that.
Okay. Mr. Messeri?
Could you just clarify what you just said
Article
regarding?
27.
The
Did you say
process for
something
open-
conflicts?
Yeah.
Article 27.
Just
You don't have
provide
to
us-
give that to me now.
No, if you could just provide us more detail as to what you're speaking.
It's about the records.
The records. Okay.
May I?
Sure, come on.
We're in, myself, I think I spoke with Mr. O'Leary that, and Rita Mullen, that we really haven't gotten any notification, or the process has been very difficult. And I think, I know I was trained that we should ask what the process is for open meeting in terms of the, citizen public, what they would like us to do. And so I think it would be, I'd like to see it, if you could address that so that we know for all the committees
Are you speaking about?
Like if
things-
you want to bring a tape recorder, or I was taught that we should really ask the
Oh,
chairman
okay. Oh.
what the process should be so that it's not disruptive.
Maybe I can talk to you
Sure.
outside of the meeting, and
Mhm.
if I can get a better understanding, maybe I'll be able to assist, and maybe it's a problem a lot of people are
I
having.
think Mr. Yell was talking about that notice, right? Does that make sense?
Sure. Let me give you, or if you just want to write down your information, I'll contact you. Can you do that?
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully we can correct the problem. Anyone else? Public comment? Nope. All right. Greg, we'll take the public hearing on the convenience store. That's at 7:30
Sure,
first,
sure.
before we do the open space.
Understood.
We'll be doing item 5, the public hearing on the convenience store, change of stockholders. Is there a public hearing notice I have to read?
There is, it's in yellow, labeled number 5, and I can read it if the board would like.
Sure. Please do.
Notice was advertised in the North Reading transcript. Board of Selectmen notice of public hearing. In accordance with Chapter 138 of the Massachusetts General Laws, a public hearing will be held by the Board of Selectmen in Room 14, Town Hall, 235 North Street, on Monday, June 18th, 2012, at 7:30 p.m. on the application of RSS Convenience Incorporated, DBA Convenience Plus, for a change in stockholders of said corporation. Evening.
Good evening, gentlemen and ladies. My name is Michelle Modiker. I'm an attorney, and I represent Shafqar Khan, who was part owner of the Convenience Plus on Main Street in North Reading. It is held by the RSS Convenience Incorporated. Now, I'm not sure, Mrs. Delaney, whether or not you got those 3 corporate printouts when I submitted my filings, but I thought I would present them to you in order.
Thank you.
Mr. Khan has chosen to transfer his stocks, which was 33% of the corporation, to his brother Shaheen Khan, who will now own 66 2/3, and then Mr. Razak is still owning 33 1/3. So the first document you have in front of you is the original corporate documents filed in 2005 with the Secretary of State's office in Boston, and shows the 3 members, and there is no delineation of their percentages, but it was 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. It's been held that way until recent March of 2012. The second document is the most recent annual report, which was filed in 2011, showing that all the individuals, the 3 individuals, still remained as the same old stockholders, directors, treasurers, whatever, as was set out in 2005. Now, the third document in front of you is a statement of supplemental change in corporate organizations, excuse me, which was filed by Mr. Khan's corporate attorney. And what that did essentially was take Mr. Khan off of the corporate papers as the secretary and director, I believe, and leaving his brother Shaheen Khan and Mr. Razak as the only 2 shareholders. The fourth document is a corporate approval of the transfer of stock, and it was voted by a majority of the stockholders, which is 2 out of 3. And it's signed by Shaheen Khan, who is the secretary. So what we're saying is at this point in time, there are only 2 holders of the alcohol license that is licensed out of Convenience Plus on Main Street. Now, if you'd like to ask Mr. Khan why he did this or whatever, he's here to answer that. However, it's been duly done in the proper corporate manner to remove a stockholder and to transfer their stocks to another stockholder.
Board members, anyone have any questions for Mr. Khan?